Solving quadratic equations using completing squares method is what we are going to see today. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Okay, let us go through it and see. Now, to complete squares, before you complete squares for any quadratic equation or for any quadratic expression, you make sure that the coefficient of the highest power, the coefficient of the value with the highest power is always 1. Now, when I come to this, if the coefficient is not 1, we factorize out that coefficient of x squared. We are going to see it in that question there. But let us first learn how do we complete squares for this one. So start the coefficient here is 1. You are free to go in completing squares. What you do, you get this coefficient of b. The coefficient of b, so start our b is equal to a 6. Then you multiply it with a half. So a half times 6 will give you a 3. So the coefficient of b, this b, if you compare with our general quadratic equation. Now, this b is, now the value you get here, you write this first. So x squared plus 6x. You write this first thing first, then plus the square of this thing here. You have got a half of b, then you remove it. Then plus our term which is here, 5 equals 0. I repeat, you get your b, here the coefficient of x squared, you multiply it with a half. The value you get, you square it and you remove it. So it's that this one, when I simplify this, I'll be doing nothing. Plus this constant equals 0. Then after doing that, you get x, you add this value, plus 3 with its sign, then you square it the way you see there. Then here we remain with minus 3 squared plus 5 equals 0. Why is this right? The whole of this thing here is in here. Why? Because if we expand, you get x squared. This time, this then by 2 is 6x. Then when you square 3, this is what it is. So the whole of this is in here. So when you expand this, you will get this. Then this is here and then this is here. So this will be now x plus 3 squared minus 9 plus 5 equaling 0. So this will be now x plus 3 squared minus 4 equaling to 0. What you do here, you take this side. So we have now x plus 3 squared equaling to 4. Now to remove this square root, you get the square root both sides. Remove the square. The square root of square equal the square root of 2. So this will go, so I have x plus 3 equal to 2. Whenever I get a square root, we get plus or minus. Plus or minus, square root of 4 is 2. Then we say, so either as simple as that. So this will from here, so that you have x plus 3 equal to 2 plus or minus 2. So take x the other side, you have your x equal to 2 plus or minus 2, then minus 3. So your x is either, you first take the positive 2, then minus 3, or your x is negative 2 minus 3. This negative 2, either take the plus 3, then minus this, or then you take negative minus this. That our x from here is going to be a negative 1. From here, our x is going to be a negative 5. So we have that. When you come to this, you see that our coefficient is 1. So if you compare with a y squared plus by plus c equaling 0, you see that our b is negative 3. So you multiply this b with a half. So you get your r half times negative 3, which will give you negative 3 over 2. So after getting this negative 3 over 2, you multiply this and this. So this one you can't divide. But here you can divide by this one, by this 3, and we go that. Then you get this term with its sign. You first now write y squared minus 3y minus 4 equaling 0. You first write this first thing, y squared minus 3y. After writing this, then you add this over 2, you square it. Then you remove it. You add it and you subtract it. The same thing with its sign. squared. Then you bring this term here, 4 equaling 0. You start, when you add this, when you subtract this, it will go away and be added in your original equation. Now from there, you get y, you add, now this with its sign, negative 3 over 2, the whole now squared. How? Is that when we expand this, we get this y. This is squared, when you square this, you get y. This times this, then by 2, you get this. Then when you square this, that's what you get. So the whole of this is embedded in here. Try to expand this, you are going to get the same thing there. So this is then minus, when you square a 3 negative, we get a 9 over. This square also affects this, you get a 4 minus 4 equal to a 0. Now what we do? We simplify. So this will be y minus minus will be minus positive, we get a minus, then minus. Here, when I take these two this side, I have then plus 4. Take this becomes a positive and take this becomes a negative. Across the equal signs. When I get this, then I cross multiply up and down. So I have y minus 3 over 2 squared equal to 2. When you cross multiply, this will be 9 plus, this time this will be 16 over 1 times this will be a 4. So this plus this you get 25 over 4. Then you get the square root. So square root of will be now equal to the square root of now 25 over 4. So this will get y minus 3 over 2. This goes with this equal to 2. Whenever we get the square root, we get a plus or minus. Square root of 5, 25 is 5. Square root of a 4 is a 2. Now take this side, you want to get the value of y. So take this side. So your y will be now, when you take this, it becomes a positive, so 3 over 2 plus or minus 5 over 2. This one now, when you cross the cosine, it becomes a positive. So you take either, you take this with the upper side, so either 1 is 3 over 2. Now we first take the upper side, 5 over 2, or our y will be 3 over 2, then the downward side, 5 over 2. Okay, it's that 3, the same LCM. So from here, allow me to use here. So my y will be the same LCM. I have 3 plus 5 over 2, or my y will be, LCM is the same, 3 minus 5 over 2. So this will be 8 over 2, or my y will be negative 2 over 2. So in divide here, my y becomes a 4, or my y becomes a negative 1. And that's all that it is. Now when you come to this, now some questions are like this. Express this in a form of this. They can tell you also this. Express this in a form of that, and then solve. So you first express this. Now, you start this one is not having equal signs, but the coefficient also is not 1. So this one we are calling because the coefficient of the highest power, x squared, I mean y squared is 1, and this was 1. And this one is not. So here our solution for this 4x squared plus 5x minus 6. You see we don't have equal signs. What we do first, we first factorize out this 4. If I factorize out this 4, I'll be having now 4 into. If I factorize out 4 here, I have x squared. What we do, what we factorize out, divide it here. When I divide here by 4, I get x squared. Divide here by 4, you get 5 over 4x. Divide here by 4, you get negative 6 over 4. So what we factorize out, we divide here. Divide here by 4, you get this. Divide here by 4, you get this. Divide here by 4, you get this. When you multiply back, you start with adding that back. Okay, let us simplify it. Now this will be in a simplified form. This will be now, okay. Now here I can complete squares. So I have 4 into now x squared plus 5 or x minus 6 over 4. And I think now 9b, this one now 9b from here. So that 9b is going to be 4 over the coefficient of x is our b. Then I multiply with a half. So our half times 5 over 4, it will give me 5 over 8. 1 times this will get 5, 1 times 2 times 4 will get 8. So now what we are going to do, you get 4 into. Now, our 4 into, now you get this x squared. You first write this 5 over 4x. Now plus the square of this, the one we have put up on prime with a half. Then 5 over 8, the whole square. Then we include our term 6 over 4, like that. Okay, so after doing that, we just simplify. I told you, from there, you get your 4 into. You get x, the value we have, plus this, which is under the square. Then you square the whole of it. When you expand this, you come back this. Then minus this square, you get 25 over, when you square 8, you get 64. Minus 6 over 4. Then you simplify that. So now if you simplify this, I am going to be having now 4 into now x plus 5 over 8, the whole squared. Let us simplify this. So here our LCM is 64. Be careful with this sign. Be careful with this sign. So 64 goes here once. Times this, you get negative 25. Then 4 goes this. 4 goes in 64. 16 times. 16 times 6. You get 9, but with the negative, so 9 times 6. And if you simplify this, you get now minus 121 over 64. Now after that, you multiply this 4 back. So now this will be 4. This will be 4 times x over 5 over 8 squared. Then minus 4 times 21 over 64. Now, don't ever make this mistake. This cannot cancel with this because this one is locked with a square. So this will be now 4 into x plus 5 over 8, the whole square, then minus. When we get this, you see that by this once, or we just multiply the other thing. So 121 times 4, we get our 4 over 64. Now we have expressed this in that form. So it's that we have expressed now this in this form. I think we see the form. This is our A, our B is here, then the square is here, then the C is here. Don't mind about the negative. This is okay. So our C is the whole of this. So now they are telling us is solvable. So that means that now the whole of this is equal to this. So now solve. This was the first part. Now solve. 4x squared plus 5x minus 6 equal to 0 means I'm going to solve this. So I have now 4x squared minus 4 over 64 equal to 0. Now what you do, you take this side. So you have now x plus 5 over 8, the whole squared equal to now. Remember, you have it for there, equal to 2484 over 64. So from there, now, before you take the square root, you first divide this through by 4. I divide here by 4, divide this side by 4. So, divide this side by 4, and also this side by 4. So what are we having now? We have x plus 5 over 8 squared equal to 2. When we divide this by 4, we get this by 4, we get 121 over 64. Now you can get the square root both sides. So if I get the square root both sides, I have now x plus 5 over 8 get the square roots at this side, and also get the square root this side. 121 over 64. Okay, now let me use this space here. So I have now x plus 5 over 8 equal to 2 plus or minus. Square root of 121 is 11. Then the square root of 64 is 8. Take this side, so x will be, but once it's cosine becomes a minus 5 over 8 plus or minus 11 over 8. So x will be negative 5 plus 11 over 8, or will be negative 5 minus 11 over 8. When you take the positive first, the negative and the positive, because the same is the same, then negative 5 minus. So you see that our x here will be 6 over 8. When you simplify, negative 5 plus 11, you get 6, or our x here will be negative 16 over 8. So here our x will be 2 over 3, or our x here will be negative 2. So that's how we handle that question, members. So as simple as that. Now, I'm only here. Some people do a mistake of, if they have no equal signs, they divide through by 4. That is very wrong. Very, very wrong. What we do, we only factorize it out. Don't divide if you don't have equal signs. Like here, we don't have equal signs. What we did was to factorize, not to divide. If you divide, you are going to get wrong answers. You just factorize out. I wish you